the guru of Squad 00, the assassin like no other. Yes, I'm the best at what I do. Is here to bring you my first Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic discussion. Yes, indeed, it's about that time, right? It's about that time. Now, I have not been doing reviews of the Magi chapters. Yes, I've been reading, of course, my second favorite manga all time currently. I mean, why wouldn't I be reading them? But the reasons is being as not reviews. I've been doing about 5 reviews or so a week, and it's just the last couple Magi chapters. The one before, if I remember correctly, it really didn't, was it 231? Didn't really have much popping off in it. And 232 is the basis for this discussion. I was going to do a review last week, but things kept happening. Hangouts and live streams and just a whole bunch of them. But anyways, and I want to keep bringing the energy and the focus into it. And then I'm like, you know what? I might as well just do a discussion about this, right? It deals with this whole fate versus destiny thing. Now, let me get this out the way. Okay, we rarely see this in shonen manga, where there's actual nudity. Okay, actual full-blown shown. It was a woman had a breast out, a boob, with the nipple and all. Didn't even see that in Kill La Kill. But it is what it is. Don't even, as far as I know, do we see that in Sekirei? Yeah, we do. We do see it occasionally in Ecchi. But anyways, it wasn't no sexualization at all. No sex appeal. It was pretty much poverty, famish, hardship stuff. Because you saw the baby right there, and it's, you can infer that this is possibly during a wartime situation, okay? And Alma Toran, and this is going back, considering the fact that it's going back, I believe, to the 800 years prior in the history of Alma Toran. Okay? And so I just had to mention that, rarity, but it was well done, well accomplished. Just that scene alone, just that little, extra, it's opposite. Human nudity isn't always sexualized or sexually, sometimes it's medicinal, sometimes it's, artistic. We're talking about aesthetic rather than even sensualization, or, obviously not sexualization, but even sensualization. Sensuality is what I'm referring to there. It wasn't none of that. It was rough. It's like you see maybe a baby in what we call third world countries, underdeveloped nation, hard hit nations. Let me just put that there. Poor, most of the people poor in the nation, or many of the people, much of the population are poor, impoverished. How mind you, on the low end, might be dirt poor. And you just see a baby running around naked because the folks can't even afford clothing, just for example, And this is just a segue into this whole discussion, which is I've been having recently. I've had 2 to 3 times. I know Firefist, Dre, okay. I know I think Edman. I've had it with a few different people. I've had it mainly deal with Toriko, and I think I need to do something off of it about Toriko and the whole food thing. I think I need to do a discussion. But anyways, about that. Will I do that tonight? Hell, I'll do that actually after this video. I think that's a worthy video to need to do. But anyways, regardless, I've been talking about, and it's been on with others too. I think maybe Wild King. I'm trying to remember all the people I've talked with this about. Probably Charles the Anime World. Shout out to Captain of Squad 00. I know Precious, First Lady Squad, just different people. Listen to my reviews, Eric, and whoever else it might be. No disrespect if I can't remember, but this is just off the top of my head, right? Wasn't even planning on saying this in this video. Destiny and fate are definitely not the same things. Okay, let me begin by explaining what fate, giving adequate definition of what fate is, and showing how it's not the same thing as destiny. Predestination deals with fate, but it doesn't involve destiny. It's funny how that works, right? Okay, and this all ties into free choice as well. And I'll bring it back to what King Solomon did in chapter 232 of Magi, Labyrinth, and Magi. Now, fate. What is fate? Fate is an established path that one's life will take. One's life, or not just life, maybe, an entity. Let me explain it more than just a life, okay? Before I get all, I want to make this clear. Fate is an established, predetermined, predestined, if you mind, path an entity's lifespan will take. Okay. Now it's funny about lifespans because you can be talking about eternal, immortal creatures. Still have a lifespan, just they don't die. Some may have been, but if you're talking about the Almighty, it gets a little bit dicey. But regardless, there's a set, path, for lack of a better term, a set route, okay? Route for those who speak it like that. That's what will happen. There's nothing you can do about fate. Doesn't mean you don't have free will, but fate, it's already, like, for example, there is a set date you will be born, there's a set date you will die. Or better yet, for the unborn, set day you will conceive, set date you won't conceive. Okay? You will do these things. Now, even that's an overview. That's irrefutable. If you sit back, it will happen. There's already written out what you will and will not do. Here's the kicker though. We as mortal beings, as living within time and space inside this universe, or inside any universe, okay, any dimension of that involves time, and I'm not going to get into time at this point, okay, but time is not necessarily linear, okay? Understand that. When you're dealing with time, we don't know what our fate is. Totally. You may figure out along the way, but you don't know what it is totally. For the very fact is, we don't even know when we're going to die. We don't know how we're going to die. We don't know what we're going to do in the next second, really, in the next minute. But, those, okay, we might know. Let's go in a year. Okay, a year might be dicey. 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, if we so happen to live that long, 50 years. 100 years, obviously if we so happen to live this long. We don't know. There's a lot of unknowns, a lot of question marks. Understand it? So we don't know. Right. So that's where free will comes in. And I explain kind of what free will and freedom. There's a difference between free will and freedom. Freedom is the ability to do anything you want. Even nature doesn't allow us total freedom. Just as a backdrop. But regardless, freedom is being able to do whatever you want. Free will is different because just because you act, you have the will to act, does not mean the consequences of your actions will, that's separate from the consequences of your actions. Consequences can be good, bad, or indifferent. You feel me? You're allowed to act on your freedom, but the consequences are separate from the action. You feel what I'm saying? There are still consequences regardless of our actions of free will. Freedom is just being able to do what you want. Now, morality and truth put limits on freedom, but regardless, freedom is there. That's what freedom is. Free will is the ability, is the ability to choose what you want. Okay, that's what free will is. Ability of choice, making decisions. Freedom is being able. It's the capacity to do something. While free will is the choice made. Okay, rather than the capacity, it's the choice made. Whether you make this, you go this path, go this path. For example, you walk down this street, you turn left or right. For example, you go to this restaurant as opposed to that fast food joint. You shop at Walmart as opposed to BJ's. If you shop at a Kmart as opposed to It may be a Best Buy, a Winn-Dixie as opposed to a Publix. You understand that kind of things? I'm sorry if I'm not going international. Okay. KFC as opposed to a Taco Bell. Okay. Burger King as opposed to McDonald's. You get where I'm going with this? It's your free will. Freedom says, hey, you just do. Free will says the choice that's made. I hope I've hit that on the nail enough. That's important when you talk about this whole freedom and destiny thing. Now, destiny, which I don't buy, I believe, my view of it is BS, and there's reasons why I think it's BS. But before I get to that, destiny is said you can choose your fate. Now, what have I already established with fate is? Fate is how, a set. It's a set. It's like in mathematics, right? There are certain sets of numbers. Your odd numbers are your 1, 3, 5, 7, all that kind of jazz. Your even numbers. 0 doesn't really count, but anyways, 2, 4, 6, 8. They're sets. 1 through 10, 11 through 20. However it's broken down. There's a set. There's this, and that's good. You follow that pattern, right? Follow that guidance. Well, destiny says you can choose whatever you want. You can put 3 and 6 together, even though they technically do work. Let me use a better example. You can say you can throw in the English language. You can throw "ñe," which is a letter from the Espanol, from the Spanish language, right? El. You can just throw that in Russian. You can just pick and choose what you want to throw in there. You are in control. Really, you are in control. When the very fact is you can't control the weather. You can't control disease. You can't control even fully what kind of relationships you will be in. You understand that? You can't control the position of power totally that you will be in. You can't have no control on where you were born, how you were born, what's your background. Then there's other heinous things, certain things that may happen to you. People who are children, I should say, who were sexually molested or raped. They had no control over that. You had no control over, in general. There are certain things that you may do, but you don't, in general, have control over if you're getting bullied. You don't have control over, if, for example, police brutality. If you, I'm not saying you did something stupid and you brought the cops on you. I'm just saying if the police, brutally hit you for something, if you got arrested for a crime you didn't commit and you get locked up for 20 years, you had no control over that. You feel what I'm saying? You don't have control over whether, you'll have a woman, if she has no control over, she'll have a miscarriage. In general. I'm not talking about, something happened, she hit something. No, nothing like that. I'm just saying there are women who have miscarriages and they, wanted the children. They didn't have any control over that. Obviously there are variables, but I'm talking in generalities here. You don't have control over what race you were born. Okay? I'm a black man. That's how I was born. I had no control over that. I had no control over who my parents were. I don't have control over my genetics. Okay? So take all those things into consideration. Right? And there are things you can adjust along the way. I agree with that. But as far as in this whole destiny, where you choose your path, you have control over that. That's artificial and organic. It's not based on reality at all. It's a delusion that we as humans promote, namely in Western society, promote to where, we can make things happen. Now, here's the thing about it. Often you'll see it in literature, especially, for example, anime and manga. The destiny that they're mainly referring to is fate. Okay. In the case of Magi, with the roke, okay, the rook, as some say, that's fate. All that's fate. It's destined. One Piece, you see that, for example. In Naruto, you see that. But here's the thing, though. Yes, there are choices that are made that affect other things' lives. You know what I'm saying? It plays out as fate has it play out. But again, we don't know that, so we make choices, and that affects, and it plays out the way it plays out. Fate Fate already knows what's going to happen, but we don't know, so we make those choices. So there is personal responsibility. But to say we have control over our own fate, now, if something's already established, we don't have any control over that. But we do have control over the choices we make ourselves. That's personal responsibility. That's where I agree with the whole concept that people are trying to get at when they say destiny. You are responsible for how for your thoughts, your thinking, which affects your decision making and thus affects your choices. You're responsible for your deed, what you say, how you act, how you carry yourself, you maintain yourself. Okay, you're responsible for those things and those immediate things in which you deal with. You don't have control over the rain. Fate had it that it would rain. Fate had it that there would be a car crash. Fate had it that there would be a boat accident. We don't have control over these things. Fate had it that a child would be born at this amount of time to these two individuals. We don't have, that's how fate had it. But, you made the choice, to drive the car that day, to drive in the boat, to go boating, whatever. You had the choice, the two had sex, they had intimate relations, and they had a child. And with the case with Solomon, what Solomon's trying to do is very interesting. And they're trying to go against fate. And it's really interesting how Shinobu Otaku has led us to believe that the Black Robe goes against fate, while the Black Robe, more or less, was part of Ilah from the beginning. So what is going against fate now? In a case of Magi, are we really going against fate? Because David had a will, and then there's the will that is impressed upon you, the ideologies, philosophies that come with it, the goals, dreams, all those kind of jazz, right? He's trying to alter reality, right? That's what King Solomon hopes, and he's left. He transcended and became one with the flow, right? As King of Lightning says, KOL says the white flow, but the flow of fate, and he's left himself in not a shell of himself, but in an older form. He's left part of who he is on there to still do. But even though he's tried to, he's altered things, has he really altered fate? As we, I believe, shall see, has he really altered fate? Even though he attempted, will there still be wars? Will there still be a revolt? Will there still be individuals who act immorally? Take these things into consideration, ladies and gentlemen. And just because there's a good rule, you can go biblical, and I know not everybody's in the scripture, whatever, but in the book of Judges, every time a judge died, the people did which was right in their own eyes. People started to do what they wanted to do, regardless. It talks in Genesis, I believe, what is it? Not 9. Genesis chapter 6, excuse me. It talks about, pretty much everybody did. Pretty much everybody was doing evil. They did what they wanted to do, regardless of how it affected other people, or even themselves at times. They did what they wanted. They tried to go after total freedom. You understand what I'm saying? So just take all these things into consideration. My first Magi discussion, probably more to come. I thought it was fitting, instead of trying to review this, because there wasn't really much to review, but more to discuss of what Otaku was presenting there in that chapter 232 of Magi. Unexpected one to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me if you want me to do more Magi reviews. I could talk about the finales, the Bala. I've heard people want me to talk about the Great Rift. And other, whatever, the Magi, and, the Kings. What's the other one? I've talked about, whatever. And the different nations, how the world's set up, whatever, just come to me, say if you want me to do another discussion, I'll attempt to do it. Alright, y'all. I do need to make another one, it has to do with Alibaba. Be on the lookout for the Alibaba. Yeah, it deals mainly with Alibaba, but where I foresee him going in his dealings with Sinbad, Rincoen, and all that, how Alibaba is going to establish his own kingdom and all that kind of jazz. Alright, y'all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Next time. Peace.